Good afternoon. We're here with Sam Marshall from Monkey Mountaineering. How are you doing, Sam?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Good to have you here. If we just go straight in, get started, if you'd like to give us a bit of background as to who you are, what it is you do, and how long you've been doing it for, please, Sam.
Okay. So I'm Sam Marshall. I'm the founder and managing director at Monkey Mountaineering. We're a niche adventure travel company. We specialize in mountain travel, so trekking, climbing mountains, exhibitions. But we also provide mountain-based skills training here in the UK. So if you want to learn to climb, we'll teach you to climb. If you want to climb or be guided in the mountains in the UK, yeah, we do all that as well.
Brilliant. How long have you been going for?
Just over 5 years now, coming on to 5.5 years.
Excellent. Cool. Good stuff. So looking back 5.5 years, there's quite a lot of chunk of that. The pandemic was going on. What was the biggest impact of COVID for you guys?
Well, the absolute cessation of all travel and all outdoor activity.
Yeah.
We couldn't do anything, so we were basically totally shut down by it.
Yeah. Not able to get out at all, even in a distanced way or anything like that. It was a complete shutdown.
Not initially, yeah. The first lockdowns were pretty harsh, and we couldn't get out at all. We couldn't run any overseas trips, and we couldn't facilitate any UK activity. So yeah,
Sure.
pretty much closed down.
And so sort of coming out of the pandemic, or when lockdowns were released and the ability to interact a little bit more was allowed, were there any sort of actions that you took within the business that you had to do to adapt that have then since stuck with the business, or anything like that? Sort of any learnings from it that positively impacted the business?
Yeah, a couple really. Through lockdown, I realized that we needed to keep the brand in the mind of our customers. People where they were locked in and they couldn't get out.
Mhm.
And maybe they had a desire to go and get out into the hills and mountains, or maybe to travel. So we kept up to speed with social media, posting almost every day, just to try and inspire and keep our brand alive. But we also, I guess, diversified.
Mhm.
So there was an opportunity there for me to offer technical advice and to do things that I hadn't considered doing before, such as freelancing for other agencies. So apart from the social media, I've kept up with the technical advice and the freelancing because it's just another revenue stream,
Sure.
and it made sense to switch directions. But I think I exhausted my social media creativity through lockdown. Trying to post on a daily basis, and that's pretty tough, and it takes up quite a lot of time. And I need to find the love for that again.
The challenge to do that,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Or potentially find someone that could do it for you. Would that be a
yeah,
possibility?
yeah. There is that. I could outsource it. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that. So, in terms of where you are now, what does the future look like for you, and what do you see as the main challenges going ahead?
Um, Hopefully growth, but I think that the return to international travel, and particularly the type of travel that we offer. Initially, there was a bit of a surge, but then we've been hit by this cost of living crisis and the rising prices of fuel, and that have meant that overseas travel is gone up in price. The pound falling against the dollar has also impacted on that. So we've got a number of challenges there. It's sort of like almost another pandemic hitting us, in that we've got another sort of dip in people traveling. But all is not lost from our perspective. We've taken the quiet time. We're developing a new website, and that should go live next month, and hopefully we'll start to see some more bookings off the back of that. Yeah, it's tough for travel at the moment.
Yes, it's trying to find. Well, obviously, you operate in a niche, and sort of working that, I guess, and targeting the right people you want to
Yeah, I mean,
get to.
we're also trying to become more responsible, where our new website will have carbon labels for all our trips. So
Yeah.
hopefully, I know that's becoming more popular and people are looking at responsible travel and how do we reduce our carbon footprint. So we're trying to embrace that. And I guess the fact that it's quieter gives us a little bit more time to focus on that.
Yeah, definitely working sort of on the business as opposed to in it. There's opportunities to do that when you have them, especially like COVID that you mentioned before. Chance to do that with the social media side of things, learn a few new tricks.
Yeah, sure.
So in terms of moving on to yourself as a business owner then, and saying or thinking about the biggest learning that you've had since being a business owner, if you can provide one, what would you say that is?
I think there's two, really, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course you're allowed to. Of course you can. There's plenty to be had.
When I first started, I think I was a little bit naive, and I thought, well, I'm going to start a travel company. How hard can that be? Well, it's much harder than you think it's going to be. But I think the learning from that is, business in general, I think is tough. And it would be easy to give up and go back to getting some sort of salaried employment. But you've just got to stick with it. You've got to work through those challenges and find a route and a path that works. Which sort of leads me on to the second thing that I've learned, and that's you've just got to be flexible and you've got to be prepared to adapt and change directions. You might have a vision, but then you're going to get a roadblock. And if you're not flexible and you can't adapt, you're not going to get past that roadblock. Your business is going to stifle. So you've got to accept that it's tough, and you've got to be flexible to keep moving. I think that's what my learning is so far.
Great shares, thank you very much. Very powerful shares, and I'm sure a lot of other business owners can relate to those. Thank you. So if we were to go back in time, meet yourself at 18, or potentially meet a younger person starting out in business, or someone starting out for the first time, what would be the best advice you can give to them?
Oh, blimey.
Again, another tough question.
That is a tough one. Well, I think that they've got to know what they want to achieve, but then recognize that achieving that is not going to be easy, and you've got to keep going with it, and you might have to, you've got to be flexible as you go. So I guess it's similar to what I've learned is what the advice I give.
Definitely, it's relatable to both questions, the answers there. So that's good. Thank you for that. And then in terms of inspiration that you use, what inspires you currently, perhaps, to do what you do, or just overall to do what you do? It might be any books or podcasts you recommend, or friends, family, or people you work with, your clients, that kind of thing.
I don't know, really. I think it's a love for being outside and for being in charge of my own destiny. I obviously came to this from salaried employment, and giving up a salary. When you're working for someone else, you're running to someone else's schedule. And I think I was just inspired and motivated by being my own boss and being in charge of the direction I took. So, I guess that's what it is, really.
Good stuff. Thank you. And is there anything that you're reading or anything like that? Do you have any shares on that? Do you listen to any podcasts or anything like that, or anything inspirational through mediums of written or spoken word?
I don't really listen to podcasts because I'm not a big fan of earphones. Sometimes I'll listen whilst I'm driving, and if I do, I listen to the H Hour podcast. But that's about it, really. Reading wise, I've been reading the Jack Reacher books recently.
Okay.
Someone bought me one, and I read it, and then I realized there was about 20 of them. So I think I've read about 16 of them now.
Brilliant. Hooked on those.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you. And then lastly, in terms of if there's any latest news around your business that you'd like to share, feel free, or just you say about your new website that's launching, direct us to somewhere where we can go and find out a bit more information.
Yeah, so we've got a new website launching. Hopefully it will be live mid-November. And we're going to have a a number of new offerings overseas, mainly in Nepal. So they're all coming, and there's going to be, we'll be announcing them trips quite soon. If you want to look at our current website, and the address to the new one will be the same, it's www.monkeymountaineering.com.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Sam. Been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Appreciate you taking the time. So I wish you all the best with it, and I hope it goes from strength to strength for you.
Thanks very much, Mike.